everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Deepa Paron, and I'm an independent journalist. I cover conflict and its consequences on human rights. And thank you all for being here in the margins of the 78th United Nations General Assembly at this side event co-sponsored by Outside International and human rights activists in Iran. It has been just over 1 year since the death in detention of Zhina Mahsa Amini, which triggered widespread protests throughout the Islamic Republic of Iran. While largely peaceful, the woman life freedom protests were met with excessive force from authorities, leading to seemingly endless human rights violations and potential violations of international law. Notably, what some have deemed potential crimes against humanity. Next to targeting women in all their diversity for not adhering to the oppressive and forced gender norms and stereotypes as decreed by the regime, the protests also shed light on the widespread discrimination against minority groups inside of the country. Ethnic, religious, sexual, and gender minorities are frequently the subject of discrimination in both law and practice. Despite long-standing and widespread calls for accountability for decades, and in the aftermath of the death of Zhina Mahsa Amini, impunity remains the norm. While pressure on minority groups inside of Iran persists, and in some ways, seemingly with the aim to discourage and crush any form of dissent and protest in the country. Today, we have a panel of experts joining us both in person and online to discuss the situation in Iran and provide recommendations for a way forward. A reminder to everyone before we get started that the event will be on record and open to the media. To open the discussion today, we have pre-recorded remarks from two activists inside of Iran. The two individuals were arrested while exercising their right to peaceful assembly in the Women Life Freedom protests. They have recently been released and join us to provide remarks today. Due to the security risks, their faces have been hidden and their voices have been changed.
سلام، من 32 سالم و ساکن تهرانم. جمهوری اسلامی در چند سطح اقدام به سرکوب و دیگری ستیزی نسبت به مردم غیر شیعه و غیر فارس کرده. اول حق خودمدیریتی این جماعت‌ها رو سلب کرده و در تقسیم مسئولیت‌های مدیریتی و دولتی به شدت نسبت به اونها نابرابری و محرومیت تحمیل کرده. دوم، حق هویت جمعی از جمله رسمیت زبان مادری، مناسک مذهبی، تشکلیابی و آزادی در ابراز هویت از جامعه‌های غیر فارس و غیر شیعه به درجات مختلف سلب شده. در خصوص برخی جماعت‌های غیر فارس یا غیر شیعه این محدودیت‌ها تشدید هم میشه. مثلا بهائیان در ایران حتی از حقوق اولیه شهروندی همچون تحصیل در دانشگاه یا گاهی داشتن کسب و کار یا حتی مزار محرومند، یا بخشی از جمعیت بلوچ حتی شناسنامه ندارن. سوم، از طریق رسانه‌های دولتی و بازی با افکار عمومی تحقیر هویتی نسبت به غیر فارس‌ها و غیر شیعه‌ها ترویج میشه. تلاش میشه تا با گسترش جوک‌های تحقیرآمیز نسبت به هویت‌های غیر فارس و ایجاد تصاویر شیطانی از غیر فارس‌ها و غیر شیعه‌ها اونها رو تحقیر کنن و دیگری ستیزی رو نسبت به اونها تداوم ببخشن. مثلا عرب‌ها، کردها، بلوچ‌ها و ترک‌هایی که در پی احقاق حقوق شهروندی خودشون هستند رو با برچسب تجزیه طلب تخطئه میکنن و تجزیه طلبی رو بدل به تابو در جامعه ساختن و از این طریق تحمیل بالاترین سطوح خشونت دولتی از جمله حبس‌های طولانی یا اعدام رو به معترضان غیر فارس مشروع جلوه میدن. سعی میکنن اونها رو وحشی و عقب افتاده نشون بدن و کرامت انسانیشون رو سلب کنن تا سرکوبشون راحت تر باشه. در مورد غیر شیعه ها هم همینطور. مثلا بهائیان رو جاسوس کشورهای دیگه جاد میزنن. چهارم، تحمیل محرومیت گسترده و غارت بی حد و حصر منابع قلمروهای جمعیتی غیر فارس و غیر شیعه بدون کمترین بازتوزیع در همون جغرافیاها از جانب حکومت به عنوان سیاست امنیت ملی پی گرفته شده. مثلا حکومت صنعت رو در نواحی کرد و بلوچ گسترش نمیده. از امکانات اولیه شهری بسیاری از این مناطق رو محروم میکنه. در برخی مناطق عرب در حالی که در نزدیکی پالایشگاه‌ها زندگی می‌کنند از لوله‌کشی گاز محرومند. آب رودخونه‌های نواحی لر و عرب رو برای توسعه صنعت و کشاورزی به مناطق مرکزی مثل اصفهان و یزد منتقل می‌کنند و این نواحی که بیشترین منابع آب شیرین طبیعی رو دارند بعضاً با بحران آب شرب مواجهند و مجبور به مهاجرت به حاشیه کلانشهرهای مرکزی میشن. همچنین حکومت برای منافع اقتصادی خودش و با بی‌توجهی دریاچه ارومیه رو خشک کرده که به ویژه برای مردم ترک و کرد تبعات فاجعه باری داره. بلوچستان در اغلب آمارهای مربوط به توسعه نیافتگی و محرومیت صدرنشینه و کودکان بلوچ اغلب از آب شرب یا مدرسه محرومند. بنابراین نابرابری، محرومیت، تحقیر، سرکوب گسترده و سلب حق حکمرانی از جانب حکومت نسبت به جماعت‌های غیر فارس و غیر شیعه در ایران تحمیل میشه. راه حل مسئله برقراری حکمرانی سکولار و دموکراتیک با احقاق حق خودمدیریتی و پذیرش تکثر هویتی و حق تعیین سرنوشته.
سلام، من 29 سالمه و اهل تبریزم. در جمهوری اسلامی جامعه LGBTQI وجودش کاملا غیرقانونیه و هر نوع بروز علنی میتونه با خطر جانی و اعمال احکام شرعی اسلامی همراه باشه. به طور ویژه همجنسگرایی از نظر شرعی جرمی محسوب میشه که میتونه حتی حکم اعدام بگیره. ترنس‌ها در ایران به شدت مورد تحقیر حکومت قرار میگیرن. وقتی اونها رو بازداشت میکنن به تحقیرآمیزترین شکل ممکن باهاشون برخورد میکنن و در بازداشتگاه‌ها و زندان‌ها آزارهایی به صورت سیستماتیک متحمل میشن که گاهی شامل آزارهای جنسی هم میشه. سالها مسئولان حکومتی اساساً منکر وجود LGBTQI در ایران میشدن. وقتی این جامعه با پذیرش خطر و تلاش برای حفظ ناشناسی خود تلاش کرد به صورت جمعی و به طرق مختلف اعلام وجود کنه، حکومت دست به پروپاگاندایی وسیع علیه این جامعه زد. حتی پرچم LGBTQI در برخی تظاهرات‌های حکومتی به آتش کشیده شد. اکثریت جامعه هم در تحقیر و طرد این جامعه همپا و همراه حکومته. استفاده مداوم از کلمات تحقیرآمیز جنسی برای توصیف گروه‌های مختلف جامعه LGBTQI نمود بارز این عدم پذیرش اجتماعیه. دوگانه زن مرد و تقدس خانواده دیگر جنسگرا چنان در تار و پود روابط اجتماعی جامعه ایران تنیده شده که اقلیت‌های جنسیتی در اغلب موارد مجبور میشن گرایش جنسی خودشون رو تا پایان عمر مخفی نگه دارن و حتی برداشتی به عنوان یک بیمار یا منحرف از خودشون داشته باشن. افراد این جامعه قبل از مواجهه با حکومت شدیدترین سرکوب‌ها و فشارها رو از جانب خانواده خودشون متحمل میشن، به طوری که در معرض تهدید جدی جانی قرار دارن. در سالهای اخیر خبررسانی در مورد قتل چند عضو جامعه LGBTQI به دست اعضای خانواده خود ابعاد این فاجعه رو بیشتر آشکار کرد. حکومت در مورد چنین قتل‌هایی با مماشات برخورد میکنه و در شرایطی که ولی دم یکی از اعضای خانواده است و اغلب به قاتل رضایت میده، حکومت مجازات‌های سنگین به خانواده تحمیل نمیکنه. اقلیت‌های جنسیتی اگر بتونن از سطح خانواده عبور بکنن که به ندرت اتفاق میفته، در مدرسه، محل کار و اماکن عمومی سایه تحقیر و طرد همیشه با اونهاست. مدارس از ثبت نامشون خودداری میکنن، کارفرماها از استخدامشون سر باز میزنن. این افراد در مدارس و خوابگاه‌ها و محیط کار مورد آزار جنسی قرار میگیرن. افراد این جامعه اگر خواهان ادامه تحصیل، کار کردن و به طور کلی زندگی کردن در ایران باشن، باید گرایش جنسی خودشون رو کتمان بکنن. در اکثریت مطلق فرم‌های رسمی فقط دو جنسیت زن و مرد به رسمیت شناخته شده. تنها راه پذیرش قانونی ترنس‌ها انجام عمل تطبیق جنسیته. مراجع قانونی، پزشکان، روانشناسان برای انجام این عمل جراحی این افراد رو به شدت تحت فشار میذارن، در حالی که در بسیاری موارد تأمین هزینه هنگفت این عمل از عهده فرد و خانواده خارجه. حذف دین و شریعت از قانون به رسمیت شناختن قانونی جامعه LGBTQI و برقراری قوانین سکولار راه حل مسئله است. همچنین آگاهی بخشی و آموزش‌های وسیع در مورد گرایشات جنسی مختلف و حقوق انسانی اقلیت‌های جنسیتی در خانواده، مدرسه، دانشگاه، محیط کار و غیره در جهت پذیرش اجتماعی این جامعه ضروریه.
executed from ethnic minority communities remain disproportionately high, in particular for drug-related or security-related offenses. In 2022, 147 of those executed belonged to the Baluch minority. From 1st January to 31st July 2023, at least 85 individuals from the Baluch minority were executed, an increase compared with the same period in 2022. I now request Dr. Rahman to share his remarks on the report.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, colleagues, friends, participants. I'm very honored to be invited this afternoon to speak to you. It's an important event and an emotional one as well for what we have just heard from people of Iran who are suffering in that country. In this brief presentation, I shall focus on the deeply worrying and concerning situation of ethnic, linguistic, and religious minorities, and I shall make a few brief remarks on the troubling situation of sexual minorities. Of course, the subject is deeply concerning. There are so many aspects, but I will just highlight a few. And obviously, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them afterwards. As we speak, Iranian minorities are suffering from the worst forms of systematic and systemic persecution, targeting and harassment. Killing, executions, and extrajudicial killings are the norm. Death in police custody of Zhina Mahsa Amini, as has already been mentioned, on the 16th of September last year, unleashed one of the strongest waves of protests and civil unrest the country has ever seen. Zhina Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old Iranian woman from the Kurdish province, was arrested by Iran's morality police on 13th of September of last year when she was on a family visit from Kurdistan, and she was visiting the capital Tehran. And she was arrested for allegedly failing to comply with Iran's strict rules on women's dress by wearing what the authorities said an improper hijab. Her death in police custody was unfortunately a tragic reflection of the violence against girls and women of Iran. And with her Kurdish Sunni background, there were also clear implications insofar as ethnic and religious minorities are concerned. However, as we see, the law of enforced hijab and the manner of its enforcement by state authorities is emblematic of the violence, brutality, and violation of fundamental human rights and fundamental human dignity of girls and women of Iran. The movement, which is called Zan Zindagi Azadi, Women Life Freedom, quickly transformed into nationwide protests. In addition to being a protest and demand for equality of rights for girls and women, this movement also encapsulated and reflected a movement in which all of the contributors, all of the participants had grievances to reflect and to demonstrate, and in which ethnic, linguistic, religious, as well as sexual minorities also had significant contributions to make. And of course the theme was equality, non-discrimination, and essential freedoms. In addition to the brutality which we saw last year against women, girls, men, boys of Iran, members of ethnic and religious minorities in particular suffered from the worst consequences. It was tragic to note that ethnic and religious minorities who suffered for decades of systematic and systemic discrimination and persecution were disproportionately impacted in the wave of persecution and repression that took place in the aftermath of the start of the protests. There has been gross misrepresentation or overrepresentation of ethnic and religious minorities in the numbers of those who were killed in the protests. in the brutality that was shown by the Iranian state, it's estimated that at least 537 people, including 68 children and 48 women, were killed. And innumerable number of protesters were injured, thousands were arrested, detained, and incarcerated. Dozens lost their eyes because of direct shocks to the head. Iranian doctors also reported women and girls participating in these protests being targeted with shotgun fire to their faces and other sensitive parts of their body. There are consistent reports and testimonies of torture and ill treatment of protesters, including sexual and gender-based violence. As these protests started, the Iranian authorities tried to shut down all avenues of freedom of expression, disrupting internet and censoring social media platforms. I am deeply disturbed at the reports of threats, arrests, and imprisonment of journalists, including journalists from ethnic minority and religious backgrounds, who were threatened and harassed for their critical and independent reporting in the context of the protests that started from September of last year, but more recently of the poisoning of thousands of girls. These journalists have been harassed and targeted. And some of you would be aware that the two journalists, Zhina Mahsa Amini and Mohammadi, who reported on the death of Zhina Mahsa, have recently been sentenced. They were arrested immediately in September, but they've recently been arrested for their reported and have been sentenced to long prison sentences. Now, concentrating on the position of ethnic and religious minorities, I'm shocked at the treatment which they received, particularly, as I've said in my report, the Kurdish and the Baloch minorities. And again, in my report that I presented to the General Assembly earlier this week, I noted that between 19th of September last year until 23rd of May 2023, at least 140 Kurdish protesters, including 10 women and 17 children, were killed by security forces. And one of the dark days of the protest, you will remember, is the so-called Black Friday of 30th of September, when on a single day, the security forces shot and killed at least 95 persons in Zahedan and Sistan and Balochistan provinces. And amongst those 95 were 9 children, and there were hundreds who were injured, at least 400. And there was a deliberate intent on the part of the security forces to kill these people. They were either reckless or they were shooting deliberately to kill them. And this persecution and targeting has continued. I have said in my reports to the Human Rights Council earlier this year that crimes against humanity have taken place because of the atrocities that I have seen. Again, it's been mentioned the executions. Iranian authorities have weaponized death penalty as an instrument of fear and repression, and ethnic minorities are at the forefront of this brutal exercise. So, if you look at the figures which we have from last year, out of the estimated 582 persons executed last year, at least 147 Balochis were executed. Now you have to put that in perspective, because the Baloch people are only 2 to 6% of the entire population, and to have that number of executions of Balochis tells us something, the intent of the state that they want to exterminate the Balochis. If I can say, it's a brutal exercise that is happening against the Baloch people, as well as other minorities, in particular Baloch and the Kurd. Again, amongst the 572 executions that have taken place, other minorities are also disproportionately impacted and affected. And what about the religious minorities? If you would allow me just a couple of minutes on that. The religious minorities are persecuted and targeted. And when we speak about religious minorities, amongst them I also include the constitutionally recognized, the so-called constitutionally recognized minorities, which includes the Sunnis. So we have seen the treatment of Sunnis. The Kurdish groups are predominantly Sunnis. But the worst position of it all is the minorities, the religious minorities that are constitutionally non-recognized. The absence of constitutional legal recognition for these non-recognized minorities entails denials of the most fundamental human rights, as we heard on the slide already. They are denied absolutely the most essential rights. Baha'is, Christian converts, Sufis, all of them are left outside of the legal framework as unrecognized minority religious groups. They are targeted, persecuted, and often treated as unacceptable in that society. They are treated as filthy individuals, not appropriate to be Iranian citizens. They are also harassed, targeted, and persecuted, and often become victims of the draconian laws, resulting in arbitrary detentions, ill treatment, and torture. The situation of the Baha'i minority remains particularly disturbing, and as I reported to the General Assembly, the Baha'i minority continues to face all forms of targeting, victimization, harassment, and persecution. And since July of last year, we have over 333 reported incidents, which included cases of arbitrary detentions, interrogations, unlawful arrests, torture, ill treatment, destruction of their properties, cemetery desecrations, denial of education rights, and other forms of economic pressures. The situation about Christian converts is also very distressing and worrying. By some estimates, there are at least over 350,000 people. They are not recognized as Christians, although, as you would know, the Constitution says that the Christians have recognitions, but conversion is not permissible. So they are not recognized, they are not a recognized minority, but they are deemed apostates, which under the constitutional and legislative interpretations of Islam, that is, according to the regime, that interpretation renders conversion from Islam as punishable to death. Christian converts are not granted access to officially recognized Christian churches, which forces them to gather secretly in informal church houses. Many of these Christian converts do not make their faith public for fear of persecution, as once identified, these Christian converts risk arrest, detention, and repeated interrogations about their faith. Iranian intelligence services have continued to closely monitor churches, harass congregations, in some cases, with regular checks of identity documents of attendees to ensure that only members of the recognized Armenian or Assyrian Christian minorities attend. Many Christian converts who have been arrested and detained have been charged with serious offenses, including national security offenses. Just a brief comment on the situation of sexual minorities, and I think it's important for us to address that. The repression and persecution of sexual minorities has tragically continued. Last September, two LGBT rights activists, by which I mean September of 2022, they were sentenced to death for vaguely worded and broadly defined charges of sa'ad, which means corruption or none, in the Islamic Penal Code. As the documentary informed us, the situation of sexual minorities, the persecution and torture is at the gravest. It's very serious crimes are being committed on people who have a different sexual orientation, and they live a terrifying existence. They're terrified in any sense that they cannot make themselves public. Their existence and their sexual orientation or gender identity has to be remain in secret. I have consistently demanded from the Iranian authorities the protection of the rights of all persons of ethnic, religious, and sexual minorities. I've asked them to eliminate all forms of discrimination against minorities, both in law and in practice, and to release all those for exercising their right to freedom of religion or belief, for exercising their right to enjoy their culture, or for using their language, and indeed for expressing their sexual orientation or gender identity. I've also demanded that policies are introduced and resources invested for economic, social, and cultural and political development of areas populated by ethnic and religious minorities, for example, as was mentioned about the Balochis, Kurds, and the Arabs. I end here, and I will be very happy to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rahman, for your comprehensive overview of the situation in Iran. Now, we will turn to the next two speakers to get a bit more into the discussion. Simin Fahandej is the Baha'i International Community Representative through the United Nations, a leading voice against the repression faced by the Baha'i in the Islamic Republic and around the world. Simi will shed light on the state-led repression targeting religious minority communities and provide recommendations for reform. Simi, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Is this microphone working? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation to speak here with such distinguished panelists. As we've gathered here today, we remember all the lives that were lost last year. A year ago, and also the very difficult year that it has been for many of our brothers and sisters in Iran, and the many hardships from human rights violations to social economic difficulties. It's of course been extremely difficult for religious minorities in particular, both those who are recognized by the Constitution and those who are not recognized by the Constitution. As Dr. Rahman explained just a few minutes ago, the Iranian Constitution recognizes only 3 religions as officially recognized faiths in the country, which are Zoroastrians. One of these non-recognized religions, since the 1979 revolution, Baha'is have faced systematic oppression in Iran, and the fact that they're not recognized in the Constitution as a religion has allowed the Iranian government to justify crimes against them, essentially legally. And we have thousands of court documents which refer to the fact that Baha'is are not a recognized faith in the Constitution to justify, for example, their imprisonment or the fact that they're banned from universities. In the early years of the revolution, over 200 Baha'is were executed, and since then, thousands of Baha'is have been expelled from universities, from jobs, and have faced arrest and ongoing persecution. Just in the past few days, actually, we had over 35 incidents of persecution against the Baha'is. That 10 Baha'is in the city of Isfahan in central Iran were arrested, and they're all women. And 25 Baha'is have received long prison sentences just the past few days. And in the past couple of months, we've had over 250 incidents of persecution against the Baha'is. The persecution of the Baha'is is official state policy. And this is despite the fact that we have heard Iranian officials come to the UN and many other international fora and really inaccurately claim that Baha'is are not persecuted. Just a few years ago, we had Mr. Zarif, who was an Iranian foreign minister at the time, say that there are no Baha'is in prison in Iran, which, if we look at the facts, is absolutely inaccurate. There is actually a website that the Baha'i International Community's United Nations office, where I work, has launched just a few years ago, which is called Archives of Baha'i Persecution. And essentially, this website has made public over 12,000 documents, so court verdicts and official policy documents from the Iranian government, which testify to the fact that Baha'is are persecuted for their faith. So there's thousands of court documents in which it says the charge that's put against the Baha'is in the verdict says membership of the Baha'i faith is their charge. Actually, just a few months ago, we received a court verdict which says that the sentence of this gentleman, Baha'i man in Iran, is 2 years imprisonment, and the charge against him is that he shared one of my statements at the UN on his social media in support of the Baha'is of Iran. And so also the facts of the matter and the evidence that we have completely speak against Iran's claims that Baha'is are not persecuted based on religious grounds. We also see this specifically with a document that is called the Baha'i Question Document. This is a document that came to light actually when Special Rapporteur at the time in 1993, and it's a confidential document by the Iranian government. It's been signed and approved by Ayatollah Khamenei himself. It has his signature on it and the president of the time. And this document, again, as it's called the Baha'i Question Document, essentially it states the policy of Iran against the Baha'is. It says, Baha'is, and I'm quoting here, Baha'is should be treated in such a way that their progress and development is blocked. Baha'is should be treated in such a way that their progress and development is blocked, and it lists a number of provisions that measures that should be taken in order to meet this goal of blocking their progress. One of them is that Baha'is should not be admitted to universities if they are Baha'is. The second one is that they should be banned from all public places of employment because they are Baha'is. The third one is that they should be placed in schools with a strong religious ideology, Islamic religious ideology, in order to distance them from their faith. Another provision says that their cultural roots outside of Iran should be destroyed, and a number of other provisions that are similar to this. And really, to have such a document from a government itself, public, it's not a public document, but now a public document, which shows us official state policy against a particular group only on the basis of their faith, is absolutely unacceptable. It's like having the same document in another country against an entire religious community, not to allow them to go to university or have jobs, or the other provisions only on the basis of their faith. And again, many court verdicts use, again, this 1991 Baha'i Question document to justify imprisonment, justify Baha'is being expelled from universities. Another way of persecuting the Baha'is has been through hate speech, relentless hate speech. There are thousands of articles, media reports, documentaries, audio, radio reports, TV, news reports, and now social media content which discriminate against the Baha'is and spread hate speech, portraying the Baha'is as enemies of the state, portraying the Baha'is as almost non-human in many ways, as being responsible for every evil, not just in Iran, but globally. And this is, hate speech is one of the first crimes that take place before worse crimes take place that we've seen in history. And one of the purposes of this hate crime has really been to create division between the Baha'i community and the larger Iranian society. But fortunately, we've seen in the past few years, especially since this persecution against the Baha'is has been extended to many other groups now, the discrimination has been extended to many other groups, this wedge that's been driven by the Iranian government between the Baha'is and others has really been closed in a way. We've seen these efforts have not worked, as evidenced by a recent campaign that was launched by the Baha'i national community called the Our Story is One campaign, which was launched in honor of the 40th execution, anniversary of the 40th execution of 10 Baha'i women 40 years ago in June. And this campaign essentially aimed to show how the story of these 10 young Baha'i women, most of whom were in their 20s, is essentially the same as the story of many young Iranian women today who are are sacrificing many things in their lives for justice and equality. And we saw millions of people around the world support this campaign, from foreign ministers, Nobel Peace Laureates, prominent individuals, artists, musicians, and countless others from around the world. And really, it was this message of the campaign that reached the hearts and minds of millions around the world, which essentially tried to create this sense of oneness and unity between the Baha'i community and the wider population. And just lastly, I wanted to say that as the Support for Our Story is One campaign has shown, and the support that we see among Iranians generally now, despite the many years and decades of hate speech against the different groups, that it is truly only by putting aside our differences and discarding the ideas of us and them, pure and unclean, Persian, Kurd, Baluch, Arab, Turk, Christian, Baha'i, Muslim, Jewish, Zoroastrian, or any other faith or no faith at all, and learning to live together side by side, desiring equal rights for all, and allowing for and valuing the participation and contribution of every individual in urban society, regardless of faith and background, and truly seeing one another as members of one community and even one family, that we can create an Iran where every person sees for themselves a place and can work together, shoulder to shoulder for its betterment.
Thank you, Simon. Our next speaker will be intervening virtually. Abin Mustafazadeh is a women's and minority rights activist specializing in Kurdistan. She is a spokesperson for the human rights organization Kurdpa. Abin will delve into some of the most pressing issues facing the Kurdish minority in the Islamic Republic over the last year. She will detail how the Women Life Freedom Movement has continued in various forms in the region despite repression at the hands of the authorities. Abin, over to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, in Iran, minorities, distinguished by race, language, religion, culture, or gender, are more than just marginalized by systematic governmental discrimination. They face brutal oppression for merely embracing these unique identities. I hail from Kurdistan, and I stand before you to proclaim that not only have our distinct characteristics been left unrecognized, but they have also been weaponized, twisted into accusatory labels by the government, exploited as grounds for further oppression. This grim reality is evidenced by clear markers: the rampant poverty, absence of investments, and the blatant denial of rights to significant administrative roles in our regions. The directive from the Islamic Republic is stark: conform or be deemed worthless. The severe actions of the government bear witness to this. From the heart-wrenching massacre of our coal bars and miners to pushing our unemployed youth towards a life engulfed by narcotics. They've clamped down on our language, culture, and even our ceremonies. And the harrowing tales of arrests, tortures, and those executed without identity remain as a testament to the excruciating price we pay for our minority status. But we are more than just the oppressed. Kurdistan, amidst this stark backdrop, shines as a beacon for socio-political movements. Most notably, it champions a movement which embodies the spirit of women, life, freedom in Iran. Such revolutions aren't mere moments, but a culmination of tireless efforts, years of struggle, and the undying spirit of free Kurdish women. Our unified voice, echoing the hopes of all minorities, and indeed the wider Iranian populace, has unfortunately been met with escalated governmental oppression. The Kurdish and Baloch communities have borne the brunt of this. Beyond the severe sentences and educational deprivations, there are haunting accounts of torture in detention centres, bullets still lodged within innocent souls, and many living in the shadows post-assault. Fears, like those of Mahsa Zina's family, constantly anxious over the potential desecration of their loved ones' graves, are a daily reality. Yet, our plea to the global community is not for undue sympathy, but for recognition, respect, and responsibility. We cannot and will not be rendered so inconsequential that our cries for women, life, freedom fade into oblivion on the international stage. Current international mechanisms holding the Iranian government accountable have proven insufficient. The sentiment emerging now is clear. The global community, instead of standing beside us, should at the very least halt their endorsement and appeasement of the Islamic Republic. In our eyes, the Iranian government's legitimacy is a relic of the past. The Islamic Republic persists only through its suppression, imposing a near-military rule within cities. Like all of you, we too are human, citizens of this vast and interconnected world. Our fervent pursuit of women, life, freedom should not be met with suppression by the Islamic Republic, nor should the global community's gaze wander, allowing such oppressions to persist unchecked. Thank you.
Thank you for your emotional remarks, and thank you for shedding light on what's happening and adding to what's happening to people in Kurdistan. Now, I request Skylar Thompson, the Director of Global Advocacy and Accountability at the co-sponsoring organization Human Rights Activists in Iran. Skylar, in light of everything we've heard today, what is the way forward? Can you point to the concrete steps in the international community should be taking to promote justice and accountability for violations of human rights and international law that have potentially occurred in the context of women life freedom protests? Skylar, over to you.
Thank you, Deepa, and thank you to everyone. It's really an honor, as always, to sit alongside my esteemed colleagues here, and of course, Owen, and also from the remarks at the outset. I'm going to be really brief because I recognize the time, and I know that everyone has reasons to be today. I think, of course I get this question, and it's not an easy answer to especially answer in 5 minutes. But I'll touch just briefly on 3 points. And first, I think it's essential to speak about continuing to support UN mechanisms and UN-led investigations when it comes to Iran. We really welcome the establishment of the UN fact-finding mission at the Human Rights Council in November of last year. But I think there is an urgent need to start discussing the renewal of this mandate. Why is that? Because the fact-finding mission is, they are preparing their report in March of 2024 at the Human Rights Council session, all while still, as we've heard today, continuing to document violations that are occurring on a daily basis in the context of these protests. Dr. Rehman discussed the arrest and detention and disproportionate sentence of 2 female journalists that first reported on Mahsa's arrest and detention, and then ultimate death in detention. We have, as many of you are familiar, a hijab and chastity bill, which has been introduced in Parliament, sent to the Guardian Council, back to Parliament for various reasons, and numerous other, the arrests of women's rights defenders, preemptively and otherwise. These violations continue to occur on a daily basis, and all while the mandate is nearing its end. So this is one thing to consider. In parallel, it's absolutely essential to discuss renewing the mandate of the Special Rapporteur. The discussion around these 2 mandates is, a tricky one, but it's not that complicated, to be honest. The mandate of the Special Rapporteur discusses absolutely a wide variety of issues that are out of the mandate of the FFM. As we've heard today, Dr. Rehman could have talked for 3 more hours, I'm pretty sure, on the issues that touch the people inside of the Islamic Republic. It's absolutely essential that we continue to have a mandate that reports on these issues and that seeks to hold the Islamic Republic accountable. When we did not have a special rapporteur on Iran, violations increased. And so to step away from that is absolutely unacceptable. Second, I think, also because of the unwillingness to investigate domestically, and because of the lack of impartiality and transparency that occurs when these so-called investigations do happen domestically, states in the international community should really pursue pathways to justice at the international level. And that includes through initiating investigations under universal jurisdiction and through supporting civil society organizations that monitor, document, collect, and preserve evidence that can aid these investigations. As my colleagues have discussed, there are numerous organizations that do so. Samin mentioned thousands of court documents. My own organization has documents in the thousands that speak to violations that occur on a daily basis. And it's not only the violations, but it's the perpetrators that are responsible for these violations at high levels and at low levels. And civil society is very eager to work with these investigations to seek to hold perpetrators accountable. Third, I think, and it's simple, but it's really important to continue to condemn violations when we see them and unite it across jurisdictions. Silence is really complicity, and I think that the Islamic Republic is really happy to see silence when it happens. So I would just encourage, a united message of condemnation when it's needed. I am going to stop there just because I think it's really clear, the messages that I set forth, and I know that it's 1:30 now, so maybe I hand it back to Deepa.
Thank you, Skylar. And it's already 1:30, so I'm just going to directly move to questions. And I request anyone who has questions to kindly raise their hand. And I would direct the question to Simin, Dr. Rahman, Awin, or Skylar. Anyone?
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Farzana Baidi, and I'm a digital rights and internet access consultant. I was wondering if your mandate also covers the issues of internet shutdowns and digital rights issues in Iran, because that could actually directly hamper access of minorities in Iran to the internet. As we have seen in Balochistan, a few times there has been internet shutdowns, and also the social media platforms, when they're opposed by minorities, they get arrested and prosecuted. Thank you.
Dr. Rahman.
Yeah, good. Okay, thank you. Yes, the mandate is monitoring and reporting on the human rights situation in Iran. So I cover all sorts of human rights violations. And you're absolutely right that internet shutdown relates to repression of freedom of expression and opinion. And we have seen various occasions where the Iranian authorities have shut down the internet or any form of social media or any form of communication. So we saw that, for example, in a blatant way in the protests in 2019, November 2019, when there was an almost complete shutdown of internet for some days. And that we saw last year as well, because the regime thinks that by blocking internet, they will block information and they will not allow people to exercise their right to freedom of expression and opinion. And actually they also criminalized the VPN, the use of VPN last year, which I reported in my Human Rights Council report, because they deem it as a criminal offense if you're trying to avoid the state repression and the state instigated, implemented ways of blocking information. So there is a real crisis in terms of, freedom of expression and opinion. And if you look at one of my recommendations from my report to the Human Rights Council, that is what I urge the international community to support more access to internet and to find ways in which people can actually transmit information. And just briefly, because I don't have access to the country, I mean, this is one of the vital tools that I have. Internet and speaking to the people directly. So it's